Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about HubSpot. If you're hustling in the trenches to build a business or bootstrapping one of your own, let's talk about an AI-powered tool that can lighten up your workload a bit. HubSpot's Campaign Assistant is a game changer for creating marketing campaigns at scale. It quickly turns your key selling points into a cohesive pitch, which helps you deliver knockout emails, ads, and landing pages in minutes. So let Campaign Assistant take care of the campaigns so you can get back to growing your business. Work smarter, not harder at HubSpot.com/campaign-assistant.
Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, October 20th. I'm Mark Dent here with Juliet, Bennett, Rylah, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Okay, everyone, it's time to dust off your Barbie Oppenheimer costumes because today we're talking about the surprisingly big business of Halloween. Now, it's obviously not nearly as large as Christmas, but it's the second biggest holiday in terms of American spending. So where does all that money go? And who's cashing in? We're going to talk about all of that. But first, let's run through the other stories making headlines today in the world of business and tech. Starting off, Netflix added 8.76 million subscribers in Q3 for a total of 247 million subscribers. What's the reason for the bump? Well, their password sharing crackdown that forced you to buy an extra account or two. Moving on, New York Attorney General Letitia James is suing 3 crypto companies, Gemini, Genesis, and Digital Currency Group, on claims that they misled investors. The lawsuit says that 230,000 investors were affected and that losses topped $1 billion. On to some CEO news. Roger Goodell and the NFL finalized a 3-year contract extension to keep the commissioner atop America's most popular sport. The deal is worth about $200 million. Meanwhile, another CEO, Costco's Craig Jelinek, is stepping down at the end of the year. Jelinek, who's had the post since 2012, will be replaced by the company's current president, Ron Vakras. Finally, Ferrero Group is fully chasing the title of Earth's sweetest company, acquiring Jelly Belly candy. The jelly beans join a dental nightmare of a portfolio that also includes Nutella, Ferrero Rocher, Butterfinger, Laffy Taffy, and Sweet Tarts. Okay, let's stick a little bit with this candy and Halloween theme and move on to our main story. As historians tell it, Halloween originated from Samhain, which is an ancient Celtic festival where people lit bonfires and wore costumes to ward off ghosts. But, that was like thousands of years ago. Now it's today, and people are basically just spending an awful lot of money for Halloween. And it really is an awful lot of money and just keeps on growing, right, Juliet?
Yeah, projected this year in the United States alone, we're going to spend $12.2 billion on Halloween. That's per the National Retail Federation, and that's more than last year. Last year was a record setter at $10.6 billion. So we are really going all out this year.
Yeah. So where does all that money go? I mean, obviously candy, but it's not like everybody's buying like king-size candy bars or anything like that. So what else is it getting spent on?
Right. So $3.6 billion, that's candy. Decorations, $3.9 billion. A lot of money on costumes. That's $4.1 billion.
Yeah. So that costumes one is particularly interesting. I was doing a little bit of research for a story about haunted houses. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking back at what Halloween used to be in like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Around the 80s and the 90s, there was just like this shift where instead of just thinking of Halloween as this holiday for kids, adults were like, let's make Halloween a holiday for partying. Mm-hmm. And they just started to go all out on buying like these costumes. And Halloween went from this kind of small holiday to in like the mid 1990s, people were spending like $2.5 billion on the holiday. Now, that's still obviously a lot less than what it is now. Mm-hmm. So it's just pretty impressive how much it's grown and become this huge colossus that's like almost on par with Christmas.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they didn't get to have a Halloween for 3 years. So now it's time to really party and break out those costumes and all that decor. And I know when my friend throws a party every single year, she goes all out. The pumpkin cookies, the cupcakes baked in the Nordic ware pan so they look like little skulls. She carves apples and ice cubes that look like skulls, and she makes like these big batch cocktails. I mean, she goes all out, and I can't imagine that's super cheap. I mean, we all bring stuff as well, so I know we all spend a lot of money on charcuterie boards and the like.
For sure. I was actually talking to someone who owns a haunted house, and not just like any haunted house. It's one of the oldest in the country, brings in tens of thousands of customers every year, et cetera. And she mentioned this one thing that is like fairly obvious once I started thinking about it. But I think it gets to the heart of why there's so much spending on Halloween. And what that is that other holidays like, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July, even, people kind of just do the same thing every year. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, you go to the parade and have green beer. You probably actually don't buy a cool gift for like your significant other for Valentine's Day because no one cares anymore. Mm-hmm. But with Halloween, things are like expected to be different, It's like you have to have a new costume. You have to like one up the next year, et cetera.
Oh, yeah. I think it's all about seeing other people in costume. Like that is the biggest joy for me, is like going to parties and seeing what other people put together and how creative they were.
Yeah, definitely. And you're really into Halloween, Juliet, obviously. Yes. And
it's perpetually Halloween for me.
Right. But you've started to see like Halloween stuff, not just at Target and Walmart. It's in like much more luxurious places.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I just bought all of the clearance Halloween items from West Elm, Pasadena. So if you were going to go to West Elm, Pasadena and buy all of their snake plates, I'm sorry I bought them all. But yeah, they're really nice stuff. Pottery Barn, Williams-Sonoma, the kind of stuff that like, if it's your aesthetic, you could really use it all year long. It's not just like plastic skeletons and plastic pumpkin pails. Like there's some really nice stuff in that space.
And it is definitely your aesthetic.
Yes.
Are you putting that stuff out all year, or at least for a large parts of the year?
Yeah, I would say my house is pretty much Halloween 365 days a year. Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like costume-wise, certainly there's always like some new kind of trendy thing. And, Barbie is certainly that this year. Mm-hmm. It's going to rank among this year's most popular costumes, which is actually a first, apparently. Kind of surprising.
Really?
But there's definitely some old standbys as well that seem to make it every year.
Yeah. And, I just read this, and this is what's super interesting. So we know that there's some standbys. I think the ones on the list are like witches, vampires, whatever. I just read that SAG-AFTRA, because the Actors Guild is on strike, they are advised not to dress as characters from popular movie and TV shows.
Really?
Instead of being like, I'm Lestat from Interview with the Vampire and AMC, now it's, I'm just a vampire guy, or I'm not this particular witch. I'm not Ursula from The Little Mermaid. I'm just a bog witch of some kind, who can say? Or I guess a real person.
Wow. So it'll be a much less specific Halloween in Los Angeles, in other words.
Yeah, I'm very curious because these guidelines just came out this morning and I was like, oh my God, they probably like some celebrities, they go all out on their Halloween costume. And I'm like, oh, wow, I wonder how many people already have their costumes made and then are like, oh, shit.
Now it's all ruined. Have you decided what you're going to be for Halloween?
I have. I am going to be Ellen Ripley from the movie Alien. I have a little stuffed orange cat to carry around with me all night, as obviously the cat is the most important crew member on the ship. What about you?
Yeah, it's really lame, but I have not decided yet. The last couple of years, I went as Seth Cohen from The OC in 2021. And then last year, I was Maddie Healy of the 1975, who has been like quasi canceled.
Right. I was going to say.
So I can't like do anything like that anymore. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I think I want to like do something a little bit more exotic than frankly the last two.
Okay. Well, good luck on that.
Yeah, exactly. And, fortunately, the two of us, we don't have those SAG-AFTRA requirements. Thank goodness.
No, we are free to be whoever we feel like this year as the spirit moves us.
Yes, for sure. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clarke. We got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, please go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email, and we'll catch you next week.
Let me tell you about a show that I've been loving lately. It's called Entrepreneurs on Fire. It's hosted by the incredible John Lee Dumas. It's available now on the HubSpot Podcast Network. Entrepreneurs on Fire stokes inspiration and shares strategies to fire up your entrepreneurial journey and create the life that you've always dreamed of. I'm a big fan of this podcast. It has energy, it has value, and it's all about learning about entrepreneurship. I was just listening to an episode the other day. JLD interviewed Jay Rogers, who was such a wealth of information. He kind of went into how entrepreneurship chooses you. You don't necessarily choose it, and that failure only happens when you stop trying to win. A lot of gems in this one. So I'd highly recommend checking out that particular episode, along with the rest. So go listen to Entrepreneurs on Fire wherever you get your podcasts. Hey guys, if you listen to the Hustle Daily Show on Google Podcasts, we want to let you know that the option will no longer be available pretty soon. Google is sunsetting its podcast app sometime in early 2024 in favor of YouTube Music, and we want to give you a heads up before it's too late, since that time's almost here. The Hustle Daily Show is available everywhere and anywhere that you listen to podcasts, like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're using YouTube Music, we are there as well. If you're an Android fan, there are plenty of apps like Overcast, Pocket Casts, Player FM, and more. So just search for us wherever you decide to listen to your favorite podcasts.